Hi, I'm Dobby, but you can call me Dobbs. So today I'm reviewing Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. This book is the last book in the Lunar Chronicles series, and I have Cinder, Scarlet, and Fairest, and I have read Cress and Winter. And Marissa Meyer is the author of a lot of different books, like the Renegades trilogy. Renegades, Arch Enemies, and Supernova, which I did a book review on. Check that out. She also wrote Heartless. She wrote a new, I think it's a new romance book that's coming out, or already came out. I really like Marissa Meyer. She's one of my favorite authors. So this book is part of the Lunar Chronicles series, but it's not part of the entire big story, and it's not one story in itself. It's a collection of different stories from Lunar Chronicles. Hi, so you might be a little confused because this is in the middle of your book review that you're watching, but basically what I wanted to talk about was I have never reviewed any of these books except this one, obviously. I didn't review the Lunar Chronicles series. So for the people that don't know about the Lunar Chronicles or what it's about or anything like that, this is for you guys. If you already know what the Lunar Chronicles are and what it's about and you've already read it and stuff, then you can skip ahead if you want. But yeah, basically, the Lunar Chronicles is a series of different retellings. Each book is a different retelling of a classic fairy tale. And it's a sci-fi series, and it's about Cinder and her friends who kind of fight this evil lady. And yeah, so that's what it's about. And Cinder is the retelling of Cinderella, Scarlet's the retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, and so on. How Cress began her life in the tower, or how Cinder first came to New Beijing, which is the setting of these books. And it has these little stories, or sometimes they're backstories, sometimes they're after all this happened, about all of the characters, Winter, Cress, Cinder, Scarlet, all those characters. And that's basically what this book is about. I gave this book 3.7 to 4 out of 5 stars. And this is because I found this book hard to rate because there are so many different stories with so many different plots that I can't just give it one number rating or something like that. It's hard to kind of review because there's so many different stories, even though they're the same writing style and stuff. Because some of these stories I found amazing, they were my favorites, I love them, while some other ones I felt they weren't that necessary or they didn't need to be there, which I might talk about later in the book review. So yeah, that's why it was a little hard to I don't know the word for it. Yeah, judge how good the book was. Yeah. So I really did like the idea of this book, with all the different stories, and I liked seeing the different backgrounds of each of the characters, kind of Fairest of All, which is a book that I read during the reading rush. And in that book, we got to see the background of the evil queen and the backstory and how she became evil. And in this book, it's kind of similar because you get to see some of the main characters' backgrounds and their backstories and how they came to fit into the story, if that makes sense. And I also liked how I got to kind of experience it with the character, and it was I could feel what the character was feeling, and I was exploring with the character, with the main character in that story. So, like I said before, there's some of these stories that I really loved. So, for example, one of them is a story about Winter, which is one of the characters in the book. There's an entire book called Winter, and I really liked her story because I liked seeing, this might not make sense if you haven't, if you don't have any background on the Lunar Chronicles series, but I liked seeing Winter's relationship with Jason, which is one of the other characters in the Lunar Chronicles, and I liked also seeing how Winter became the person she is in the story. Because in the stories, people say she's crazy because she doesn't use her powers, because she's a lunar and lunars have powers, and she doesn't use her powers, and it kind of shows why she doesn't use them and like what made people think that she's like crazy and stuff. And I feel like her story was one of my favorites. I also really like the last story. I think the last story was really cute, and I love like the ending. I just love it. Which I can't talk about it though because it's the ending. And also, I also said this before, there are some stories that I didn't like that much. One of them was called The Little Android, and I feel like that story and maybe a couple others, I feel like they were just there to fill space. I feel like they weren't that necessary, and they weren't like, they didn't need to be there basically. Like they were just fillers, and I don't know, they were just a little eh. So I also talked about this before, but I love Marissa Meyer's writing style especially because of how like powerful it is, but also because I feel like in all of her books, including these 3 books, Renegades, Arch Enemies, and Supernova, and in the Lunar Chronicles series, and in this book, she like has the ability to make you experience what the characters are experiencing and like actually care about them and like care about what's gonna happen to them next in the story. Because in some books I feel like I don't really like feel for the characters, I don't really care about them. Maybe Fairest of All is a good example. I talked about that book a lot in this book review, I don't know why. But I feel like Marissa Meyer has like the ability to make people actually like and like connect with, that's a good word, like connect to or like connect with the characters and relate to them, and like, yeah, I don't know, I just feel like she makes the readers have a good connection with the characters. That's a good part of her writing style. One of the things that I want to talk about is the covers. Hold on. The covers of the Lunar Chronicles books, I like how they're all based around black, blue, and red, and they're all really simple. There's only like one thing on all of them, like the shoe for Cinder, or like the Red Riding Hood cape kind of hood, I don't know, for Scarlet. This one's kind of more complicated, but still kind of focusing on one like inanimate object, one image, so like the mirror. And then for this one, the crown. I love these covers. And it's also really satisfying to have this many of them. Like I really want the other ones too, Winter and Cress, even though I've already read them, because I just find it so like satisfying and like, I don't know, so good. To just have all of them. I would recommend it if you've already read the Lunar Chronicles series, and also even if you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles series, the only one that's a spoiler is the last story. So like if you haven't, then you could still read this book. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, then like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Happy reading. No, happy reading.